Hi everybody who's joining for the Healy Hangout tonight. We have this amazing special guest, Brid Hanlon. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Is that right?
I'll say it in a few minutes.
Oh, right, okay.
Don't worry. It's okay.
Is a TimeWaver trainer and therapist. So it's so exciting because a lot of us are very intrigued about this amazing device, the TimeWaver, especially myself. And I've been watching and following a lot of videos over the year, just trying to understand the more complex version.
Good.
So what we want to do today is just I'll introduce Brid, and she can just tell us like a little bit more about what you're doing and how you're bringing that into your how you got there and so on. So yeah, do you want to just start?
Absolutely. I'm really happy to meet more people, and I'm really excited to see more people in the UK and Europe hearing about Healy. That for me is like really, really exciting. And I'll say a bit about myself, but I'd love to establish generally the audience that we have. You don't know where they are, or whether they're new to Healy or they've had Healy for a year or so. We've no way of knowing, huh?
Yes, a few familiar faces are there who I am aware of. But yes, we don't know.
I think I'm going to have to just imagine that what I'm guided to share is what people will find useful. Okay, so that's what I'm hoping will happen. So my name is pronounced Breege. It's the Irish for Bridget. Breege. Like there's a J in the end of it. Okay. So I am Irish, as you can hear. I was born in Longford in the middle of Ireland, and really brief history. I did a science degree originally and teaching diploma, and then I went and taught science in Africa in my 20s, which was amazing. And then came back and was a teacher for 17 years in London, during which I trained as a counsellor and a homeopath. And it was because of doing homeopathy that I was, when I was first introduced to the TimeWaver devices back in 2013 by one of my best friends from Munich, who came to London and said, this technology is the future, but also this technology, he remembered it from Atlantis. He knew that us, and we worked in Atlantis with this technology. Fine. I just got some strong feeling when I heard about it that I wanted to get it. I wanted to buy the TimeWaver Med or TimeWaver frequency device. I ended up buying both about 3 months later. And so that was 2014, the beginning of 2014. And every year I would go to Frankfurt or Munich or Berlin, wherever the TimeWaver conferences were. And there were relatively few people from outside of Germany using TimeWaver, relatively few, a handful from the very small number from the UK, a couple in Ireland, a couple in the US. But so it wasn't that easy, but I believed in it. I really, really believed in it, and started to gradually change my practice from seeing clients in person for homeopathy to seeing clients online for TimeWaver Med distant treatment. So I'm going to explain the difference between TimeWaver Med and TimeWaver frequency in a few minutes. But in 2017, at the 10th anniversary of TimeWaver conference in Frankfurt, Marcus announced the creation of this little device called Healy. And he presented it beautifully, of course. And we in the audience sat and thought, really? Really? Something that small? And they told us how many years of research had gone into it and organization, basically, to get a medical cloud. That was a new thing where a company could have a secure cloud on which programs could be. Can you hear me okay? Should I?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Medical cloud, for example, that aspect alone was new. The ability to put programs on a cloud, whatever kind of programs, in this case, frequency programs, and then have them downloaded by individuals around the world. That itself was, and still is, like one of the most creative and amazing things about Healy. I've skipped over what TimeWaver is. I think I should go back a little.
It's just, there's always so much information, isn't there, to get to start with, and I always struggle with where do I start. Yeah, do you just explain? Yeah,
I'll go back a little bit. Okay, so Marcus Schmake's life purpose, which is clear to all of us, is to help humanity, especially at this time where humanity has reached a point where we are able to access forms of healing that weren't really accessible before. It's been going on for a while, and homeopathy itself was a massive shift in consciousness for human beings to be able to discover that there is a vital force within each person, and that we can work with that vital force, we can strengthen that vital force through means which are not purely physical. That's when homeopathy was developed. It was discovered that the more you dilute something, the more effective it is. And Hanlon in the 1800s concluded, there must be a force within the individual that gets strengthened by the energy in the remedy. So what we have with Healy and TimeWaver is actually a version of that, kind of working with the vital force within the person and applying certain, we call them frequencies, remedies, vibrations that will resonate precisely with that person's issue right in this moment. So that's Marcus, clearly Marcus' purpose and mission in this lifetime is to help humanity. You probably all know this, he had a really keen interest in spirituality and in quantum physics as a teenager, and went to India, studied quantum physics, then went to India for 11, 12 years, then came back and worked with quantum physicists, German and Russian quantum physicists, and saw that he would be able to create what we call now the quantum sensor. This little gadget, it's not so little in our TimeWaver devices, it's bigger, obviously. We have 2 of them in each TimeWaver device, and they're able to connect with the higher dimensions. In the moment that an intention is created between the user, the therapist, and the client, get clear about an intention, and then use the quantum sensor to do a search in the higher dimensions, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th dimensions. The quantum sensor is able to work within, and we call that field the information field that spans those dimensions. Originally, we had only TimeWaver Med, and TimeWaver Med was purely information field medicine. Working distantly, I mean, you could work in person, but there's no need because you could call it radionics, working at a distance. The databases within TimeWaver Med are vast. You know some of them from Healy Blue app, let's call it Healy Resonance. You know a few of the essences, some homeopathy, the I Ching. What else is there? The Schussler salts.
Flower remedies in the Australian bush flowers.
Yeah, those essences, yes. So the larger databases of TimeWaver Med have 500,000 entries covering the spiritual level, psychological level, essences, we call it information level, energy level, meridians, so much. And those databases were put together by a team in Germany of doctors, psychotherapists, biochemists, even business consultants and coaches. So the full database in TimeWaver Med is massive. You have, I would say, 5% of it in the blue Healy app, which is, and the recent edition of the Creative Homeopathy is amazing. And it's really quite a big database compared to the others. That's why it takes so long to do the analysis. After about, started in 2007, so in about 2009, Marcus Schmicker heard of Nuno Nina, the Portuguese homeopath, who was also working with frequencies and who has an ability to intuit what frequencies a person needs and what the origin of an issue is. And he already had a huge database of frequencies, Hertz frequencies, that would match particular issues. So Marcus decided that it would be fantastic for both of them to work together because not everybody has Nuno Nina's ability to intuit what to use, but if you use a quantum sensor, it can do that for you. So the two were then put together to create TimeWaver frequency.
Wow.
And it was out of TimeWaver frequency that the Healy Pink app was created. So it's a version of TimeWaver frequency. Where will I go from there? 2017, we were introduced to it. 2019 in January, we all went to Berlin for the launch of Healy in a different way. They decided on the multi-level marketing way of getting as many Healys out. 100 million households was Marcus's ambition. And it was obvious that the quickest way to do that was through the social selling network. And that's how we've all gotten to meet each other, and Healy has just gone around the world so quickly. And I now meet, since last year, since January, I'd say 2020, I have been meeting people from every continent coming to see me as a TimeWaver therapist and telling me their stories of the difference that Healy makes. And I am absolutely amazed daily at the miraculous help that this device has brought to people. Really, 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 so much respect. And I look back to 2017 when we thought, really, you could achieve that much with such a little device? We absolutely underestimated it.
It's so exciting, isn't it? Because also it's funny that it was launched in Berlin because I lived there for 10 years and I only arrived back in the UK last year. So I was actually in Berlin when that was happening.
Would have been, yes.
It was all happening beneath my nose.
Yeah. So where they all, most of them live and work is Ramslin, a small town, maybe about 100 kilometers north of Berlin.
That's
beautiful place, beautiful place.
Thank you so much for sharing about the TimeWaver, because it is, the way you describe it as well really helps those to understand, who are trying to understand their Healys, to understand that a little bit better, knowing that this has come from such an amazing complex device to be brought to a small simple version. And I think a lot of people, what they found along the way is they're struggling on how to use their Healy. And so are you a TimeWaver trainer as well? Are you training people in the TimeWaver machines?
Yeah, I do. So when people want to purchase a TimeWaver device, and I should say they are in the range of maybe 14,000 euros for a TimeWaver frequency. I may as well say it because people are wondering, is it how, you know?
We are aware. Vicky and I have already been in talks with
Michael. Yes, lovely. And the TimeWaver.
We've had a quick question in the questions. Somebody asked, "What is the TimeWaver?" I think maybe we missed, for anybody who doesn't know the background, because it was interesting when you mentioned at the start. We've got a bit of a mixed bag in the audience. So some people are really new to Healy. Some people have had it a while. What me and Abbey have found is there's a lot of people from other places that want a bit more training and a bit more support. But the reason why we're talking about the TimeWaver, for those that don't know, is the TimeWaver is the parent of the Healy. So the TimeWaver technology is what was developed before the Healy was available, and that's what we were talking about, where the Healy got launched off of the back of the TimeWaver.
Yeah.
So the device is a lot more complicated and a lot more vast. Do you want to explain what it looks like? You have to plug it into a laptop, don't you? It's got like a panel. It's quite a big device. Is that correct?
Yes. Is it worth me sharing screen? I wasn't prepared to do that.
I don't think we need to go so deeply into it. I mean, I guess like I think she's understood now that I think what you've said so far is okay. I think if you want to share your screen, you can do if you'd like to.
I could go into sharing the software. Let me just think for a moment. So we have got I think it's important, yeah, for people to understand generally there are two devices, TimeWaver Med and TimeWaver Frequency. And each of them have a quantum sensor, or two quantum sensors actually, and each of them do different things. And your two Healys, I shouldn't say your two Healys, your two Healy apps are related to each of those TimeWaver devices in a slightly different way. So the pink app is related to the TimeWaver Frequency device. The TimeWaver Frequency device has a database of 180,000 frequencies and a quantum sensor inside. So when I treat clients with TimeWaver Frequency, the quantum sensor is able to choose moment by moment which frequencies are appropriate for that person. Just exactly the same as what happens with a Healy Pink app. And I'd like to spend time, and I will share a screen to show you what happens during the delivery of a program within Healy, if you want. Yeah?
Sure, why not? I mean, I've just made you the co-host, so you're able to share your screen if you would like to.
And then just to summarize what I wanted to say about TimeWaver Med related to your blue app, what happens with the TimeWaver Med is an analysis in the information field is done by the quantum sensor, but that analysis is using databases which are they're not frequencies. They're more a range of affirmations, mantras, psychological issues, vast databases. So this quantum sensor is searching what's relevant to this person, and then comes up with a list of the most relevant items from the information field. And that list then gets vibrated into the field of that client or individual to balance out these issues. Let's say, for example, we do a psychological analysis and we choose the database self-esteem. Yes?
Yeah.
Self-esteem. So there might be 200 different affirmations around self-esteem or different causes for lack of self-esteem. So what we do is we create an intention, a focus statement, and then we ask the TimeWaver to analyze and see what's relevant to this person. From that, we get our list of the most relevant. We read it through and reflect on what it's showing so that it's an interactive thing. It's not a passive thing. The person is not just sitting back and having something done to them. This is a process of becoming aware of one's patterns and being, a cooperative party to their own healing. So the next step then is for the TimeWaver Med to send this list over a period of time into that person's field. So what I'm describing here with TimeWaver Med is very similar to what you do with the Blue app, with the Healy Resonance. One slight difference is that you have to do every sending of a list manually.
Yeah.
And you and we can schedule the sendings every 2 hours, every 4 hours, every 8 hours, every 2 days, whatever we want. Okay. So hopefully that's a little bit more clear, Vicky, linking TimeWaver to Healy.
Yes, thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant, good. Now let's look at some of the questions, because I can see some questions coming in.
There are some questions. Let's have a look. I think it's just there's one from Marianne. She says, any case stories that you want to share as a therapist?
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I should always come prepared with these, because I would say I see about most days I would say I see between 4 and 6 clients. So that's quite a few
Wow.
people over a long period of time now.
Mm.
You'd see on my website a couple of testimonials that were just there when I was doing my website, but every day I get feedback. So a lady in South Africa who has a lot of spinal issues, She sent me her x-rays, her sheets and sheets of information from her doctors with all kinds of issues. So what I did inside of TimeWaver Med, first of all, because she doesn't have a Healy actually, her daughter has a Healy. In TimeWaver Med, I took the X-ray and I scanned it. We have an energy points module inside of TimeWaver. I was able to scan her X-ray point by point by point. I selected maybe about 100 points. And then I analyzed it and I chose the databases that I thought would be relevant, from physical issues to emotional issues to meridian points. That's really important. Energy lines in the body getting cut or distorted or yeah. I'd say that was about 3 months ago. I see her every month. And on the last meeting, her daughter reminded me that on the first meeting, she was crying in pain. I had either not noticed that or forgotten. But in this last meeting last week, she's telling me that she now hardly uses any pain medication at all, whereas before she was going from one to another, different medication every day to try to deal with the pain. So I want to say, I don't want to say we don't know how this happens, because it's simply so very different from the ways of treating with orthodox medicine that to explain it in those kind of terms is difficult. But how I say it is that when I'm working with TimeWaver, there are aspects that are really critical for me that I believe increase the power of what we're doing. One is the connection with the person that I'm working with, and the heartfelt desire to make a difference to them. Their commitment as well, the commitment on the part of the client as well, that they are able to open their minds to a possibility of healing. And we spend a lot of time creating their statement with them, so that they're really clear of what it is they want. And we don't use like I want or I will. It's more like it's already, we use present tense positive language. And the third element is the TimeWaver, using the technology that has been gifted to humanity. I do believe it's been gifted to humanity to help us. We're almost like working with the creator. We're not just struggling with the physical, what we can see and feel and pick up. We're accessing what is behind this reality. And what we have a phrase called downward causation.
Okay.
It is the belief that things manifest on the physical level only after first existing on the higher level as a belief or a thought. And that could be in a positive way. Some inspiration comes to somebody, they have an idea to build something or make something, and then over time it manifests. But equally, trauma or an education that drums into somebody a negative belief about themselves will also manifest something physical over time. So what we're doing is working with that background, that higher dimensional realm, and organizing, you could say, organizing the information in a person's individual information field in a way that is going to help their body and mind and emotions to reflect a better organization, a more positive state of health. There is something else that happens when you use a Healy and when we use TimeWaver that I want people to be aware of. So let's distinguish maybe pink app and blue app or not. It's the same really, because both of them use a quantum sensor. And people often wonder why their lives change when they start using Healy. Not just physical symptoms change, but in themselves they feel more confident or more positive. And I believe that this is because when you use a Healy, the connection between you and the field, the higher dimensional information field around you, is strengthened because you're constantly making a connection. When you use a Healy, by the way, just to get into the specifics, if you look at your phone when you're running a pink Healy app program, for example, if you look at your phone, every 10 seconds, the frequency is changing. Now, often you'll have 3 frequencies that are rotated for a period of time, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then a new set of frequencies rotated. But every 10 seconds, the quantum sensor is checking. Do you still need this frequency? What frequency do you need next after this? So that checking using the quantum sensor constantly is connecting you with your spiritual dimension. So that for me explains the changes that people feel in their lives from using it. And there are many devices on the market that only apply microcurrent or only apply frequencies without a quantum sensor. They work on the physical level fine, but they don't have that spiritual dimension.
There's a question just there that's popped up into the chat actually. Does it also work with the coil?
Okay, let's talk about the coil. If somebody wants to be admitted. Oh yeah, I see these things now. Yeah, so the coil, yes, absolutely, absolutely. So a few things to say about the coil. Some people were finding that microcurrent, even when used at very low intensity, irritated them somehow, or using a lot of microcurrent left them feeling a bit nervous system, a bit overstimulated. Others are pretty immune to that. I met a lady today who informed me that after a year, I hadn't seen her, she uses a microcurrent for 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, that is really, really unusual. And she says she's absolutely fine and it works brilliantly for her, you know. But most people couldn't handle that much because when you apply, even though it is very, very millions of amperes, which are proven to, you know, the effects of microcurrent, you probably talk about it often, yes. So microcurrent is proven to have 3 fantastic effects up to a particular intensity, which is 400 microamperes. If you apply 600 microamperes, or if you apply milliamperes, which a TENS machine does, it has none of those 3 benefits.
Oh, wow.
So keeping the intensity lowish, like 60%, we have no way of knowing, by the way, in terms of the dial on your Healy, you know, 25%, 60%, 100%. We've no way of knowing exactly how much does that correlate to the actual microamperes being delivered. I've no way in anyway, and I haven't been able to pin down a technician to give me that information. But so generally, I'm answering a different question now. Stay around the middle in terms of intensity and don't do too much microcurrent unless you are incredibly well hydrated and unless you get your feet on the ground to ground you regularly throughout the day. Okay. Still, some people found they were sensitive to microcurrent and were happy to just have the benefits of the frequencies, because they are 2 different effects. Microcurrent alone, without any particular frequency, it could be just 0.5 hertz or 0.1 hertz even, microcurrent alone has benefits. But what we have with the Healy is the addition of a series of frequencies. That's what the quantum sensor does, is choose the frequencies for you. Lots of people discovered that they were benefiting just from the frequencies. And when you choose a program, by the way, you're choosing frequencies delivered in different ways, with coil, with microcurrent, or whatever, but you're choosing databases of frequencies. That's what comes with each program. So what people I know started to do was run the Healy wireless, wearing it, keeping it close to the body. In that case, turning the volume up, intensity up to 100, because you do want a strong-ish electromagnetic field around the Healy carrying the frequencies, okay? Now comes the coil. And I'm not prepared to say exactly, because I don't understand it enough. I could repeat what Marcus Schmecker says, but it's quantum physics, and I don't understand quantum physics in that way. But my conclusion is that the coil is a perfect bridge between microcurrent application of frequencies and the vibration into your field of frequencies that happens with the blue app. It's kind of a bridge between the pink app and the blue app. It transforms the method of delivery of frequencies from a purely physical way, which we had with the microcurrent and the wires, into a not so physical. It's using a magnetic field. And the zero magnetic field, I don't know, but it's using a magnetic field. So the magnetic field of the Healy does depend, it does have a particular radius, which is slightly less than if you were using wireless. The magnetic field alone of the Healy is only about 1 foot wide. So you need to have the Healy close to your body when you use the coil. And the other thing I wanted to say about the magnetic field of the Healy, let me just see, the coil, yeah, only used with the pink app, obviously, yes. Coil is not for use with the blue app. The blue app will still simply vibrate the frequencies into your field or your friend's field, who could be hundreds of miles away.
Yeah.
So that's clear, yes?
Yes, that's clear. I mean, it does still work with the coil attached to it, because I've had a go with it, and I don't know if it makes a difference really, but I guess it's doing the same thing, isn't it?
It will. It'll do the same thing. You don't. That's a good point. You don't have to take off the coil when you're using the blue app, but I don't believe it's used. I don't believe it's used for the blue app applications.
Okay, good to know.
No.
Great. I mean, I've just had I got the call yesterday actually, and I'm noticing the difference. I am like a very physical person. I love to feel the microcurrents in my body personally, and I definitely get the most benefits from it that way. But I've noticed that a lot of other people prefer, and I've noticed that they get a lot more results from using the other apps. Do you notice any difference or correlation between those people? Have you ever delved into that and tried to understand why a certain person prefers the one type and why another person prefers the other type?
I haven't done any research. All I can say is, yes, I've met both kinds of people. I've also met people who can tolerate the pink app better than they can tolerate the blue app. And I would have assumed the opposite would be the case. And yes, maybe it is about our sensitivities. So some of us are physically sensitive, and others are more sensitive to impressions, shall we say, emotionally empathic and sensitive to mood and those kind of subtle vibrations. And for us, the blue app, for me, the blue app is sufficient, should I say.
Yeah, very interesting.
But not for everybody.
Yeah, I find that all very interesting. I always want to know the deeper information to those kind of things. It's my analytical.
Yeah.
though, but that's really, really good information. So I'm just seeing if there's any questions.
I've got a quick question, because one of the things that I noticed when I first got my pink app is it's got the is it Practitioner is the name of the it's the Practitioner, and it's empty. So therapist. That's so that section as a TimeWaver practitioner, if my understanding is correct, you make kind of bespoke program that's made for the client, and then they upload it to, or you upload it to their Healy, and then from there they can continue to play it.
Yeah, exactly. So every Healy, no matter what kind of Healy you've got, currently has got a therapist program page. And that therapist program page has 12 spaces. And also, if you scroll down further, you see under the menu, you see Practitioner TAN, T-A-N, which stands for Therapist Access Number. So what you can do, and this has been a great selling point for Healy and a great benefit to many, many, many people, is that you can contact a TimeWaver therapist, and I'll give you a document. Actually, you may have it already, that somebody, Dee in the US somewhere, she created this lovely document gathering together all of the TimeWaver therapists that we know of. And I run a page, by the way, a Facebook page called TimeWaver Therapists Facebook page. As soon as you get your TimeWaver, you can join it. So I put the message out there to say, look, we're creating this document so that people who have a Healy can find a TimeWaver therapist, TimeWaver frequency therapist, by the way. So you contact a frequency therapist. You either have a session with them. That's what people mostly do with me. They come and book an hour and 15 minutes. Gives them time to tell me all of their issues. I'm busy writing, doing a timeline, putting things together, deciding on what to put into the programs for them. So I would usually deliver maybe 4 or 5 programs in that time. I would create specially for them. And what we're doing is putting together databases of frequencies from our databases. We're extracting, putting them into the programs, and then upload the program. Let's say it's just one for now. We upload the program to the cloud of your Healy, the medical cloud of your Healy, using your therapist access number. You then, when that's done, you do in settings, you do a check for updates. And once you do that, you'll get a message saying there's an update available. Do you want it? You click OK, and then you go into your therapist program page, and there appears your program. It's really amazing. It takes very little time. One thing people should know about this is that the TAN, the therapist access number, is not a permanent number because of security. It's good to change it every now and then. So it changes about every 4 days. So it should, if you don't keep going back in to check it, in which case it will change and make a new number, it will remain active for about 4 days. So the therapist has got 4 days or so to deliver your program. And some are fast, some are slower, but they will have 4 days-ish. That's what I've noticed. I may as well say it now about the change that's coming, because someone's going to ask. Yes, I can see you nodding, Dagmar. So, on the 1st of July, new Healys, not the existing Healys, but new Healys, will not have the therapist program page automatically. They won't have it unless you subscribe to a monthly therapist program subscription, which I'm told costs about 25 euros, dollars, about that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But be, reassured that any Healy you have now and any Healy you buy by the 30th of June will continue to keep its therapist program page. You will not have to subscribe, do a monthly subscription in order to continue to use that.
Right.
Okay.
Are there any available for free that are online that therapists have put out there, or are they all kind of
I have
bespoke?
no idea, dear. Free, I've no idea. You need to research it. I don't know of any. I did, for the last few months, I did a free overcoming addiction program.
Ah.
And the only reason I stopped doing it for free was because half of Turkey seemed to discover it one day. I shouldn't laugh. And I would have been spending 24 hours a day sending those programs. So
Oh,
I had to charge. So I charged £20 for it.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I think
I
anyway,
shouldn't laugh.
you know, you've got to have some kind of value on it because you have
Yeah.
like created that. And I think that it's okay to do it at the beginning, but obviously now you must have such a
Yeah.
bigger audience with everyone who has a Healy. I mean,
Oh,
it's very
yeah.
different from before. And I think that it's great, you know, at the beginning to do that, but I do think there is a value on it because they
Oh,
are.
no, there is. We should
They,
always charge. We should always, I agree with you, Abby. I mean,
yeah,
you know, out of compassion and reading a few stories, I thought, oh my God, let me just give this for free. And it went on like that for ages. I don't know, hundreds and hundreds. But then I just couldn't keep up. So I thought, well, it doesn't serve me, and it actually doesn't serve people either to get something for free because, like I said earlier, your healing is you're responsible as well. Unless you engage your own responsibility for your healing, then it's actually kind of counterproductive to. Okay.
yes. Also,
Yeah.
it's quite interesting because in terms of I've seen it in the past when I've read books about healers and especially shamanic healers and also the old wisdom keepers, they always said you always have to have some kind of exchange to receive a healing, because
You must.
if you don't give the exchange, then you're not going to really benefit from the healing that's coming towards you. So that's why it's so important from my that's what I believe anyway.
Yeah.
In charging something, or even if it's just an exchange, something so that you can both benefit from it. Yeah. We have another question here from Martin. It says, do you need a medical background to purchase a TimeWaver?
A very specific question. Oh, okay. I would say no, but it helps. Like, technically, you don't. And let me talk about the training. I don't think all of the audience are going to be interested in this too much, so I don't want to spend too long.
Yeah.
But when you purchase a TimeWaver device, it comes with hours and hours and hours of one-to-one training. And that's what I spend the days that I'm not seeing clients. That's what I spend doing, is teaching people how to use it. But I can't give medical knowledge to people. Like, I'm trained as a homeopath. So that really, really serves me. So the TimeWaver training is not going to include medical training. I should say, as well as the one-to-one training, there are many hours on the TimeWaver Academy of training videos and webinars that are accessible to anybody who has bought a TimeWaver device. So there's plenty of training in how to use it, but then it's up to your own skills and knowledge to apply the TimeWaver in ways that you feel are appropriate for each client, and holding space for clients and being able to have that ability to work with people is something that you know, I would recommend to everybody to do a training in, you know, nutrition, homeopathy, counseling, or any of those, and all of those, naturopathy, in order to get the best out of TimeWaver.
Just an add-on from an insurance perspective as well, you have to have some sort of base in the UK. You have to have some sort of base course to be able to deal with clients anyway. So if you wanted to treat more than just friends and family, you'd have to have some sort of BTEC or something.
Yes, and then it's relatively easy to add it on to an existing insurance. Yeah.
Just out of interest, what do you find people visit you for the most, or what's the common conditions you kind of have come to you?
That would be really, really hard to say, because there is such a wide range of issues. At the moment, of course, allergies. If I just think of today, for example, allergies, joint issues, autoimmune issues, digestive issues, vagus nerve, but also some people come just for this, the support getting on to I call it the spiritual path, getting really, really connected with who they are spiritually. They know they want to wake up. They know it's time to wake up, but they feel kind of a little bit stuck in the material drudgery or difficulty. And they know that there's an easier way. They know if they can just tap into an energy of ease and abundance and love and self-worth, then their life could be so different. So one of my greatest joys is helping people make that shift. And I do, by the way, every Sunday, 7:30 English time, divine healing, because I trained as a divine healer and soul contract reader. I do a free divine healing session every Sunday, and that is beautiful. I do believe quite beautiful, and open to everybody.
Brilliant. Where can we find that? Because I didn't know you were doing that.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
brilliant.
on my website there is a plus sign, and under that, if you click on that, you see all of the services I offer, and the last one at the bottom is free weekly divine healing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Every Sunday.
Every
Brilliant.
Sunday,
Oh,
every Sunday. So people
great.
come from all over, like California, all over the States and Europe. And yeah, just helping people to become present in their body using the breath. That's what I adore. And then just call in the guides and allow myself to be guided. I've got 4 manuals of divine healing. Allow myself to be guided to the appropriate commands to say for the group and individuals each week.
Fantastic. Just another question I have as well is there any kind of guidance that you could give everybody who has a Healy on how they could kind of increase the benefits of it? I know you did touch on the fact that the person has to be like, have a true intention and be really connected.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you can add
All right.
to that?
Beautiful question. I'm really glad you asked, Abbey. Because it's so hard to know what to talk about. We could talk about so many things, but that question is really good, because your relationship with your Healy. Let's just take time to examine, what's my relationship with my Healy? Some people start off regarding Healy as a bit similar to what they would with a fix that you could get on a prescription. I won't name them, but something that's going to fix me, and I can just sit back and that symptom will go away, and that symptom will go away, and that symptom will go away. I'm not saying that's not true, but your relationship with your Healy can be so much richer than that. When your Healy arrived, or even now, you can connect with it and say, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming to me. Do you know that every Healy has its own consciousness, its own diva? You could call it diva. I don't even know how it's pronounced, but I know it. Yes.
Yes.
Every Healy comes with its own angel that's so excited to be working for you and with you, so that appreciate every time you switch on the Healy, and every time, whatever you do with the Healy, you are 50-50 working with this angel of your Healy. You play your part, and the Healy and the angel of the Healy will play its part. So it's more sacred than you would maybe give it credit for initially. Then I think one of the reasons why people use Healy too much or more than they need to is because of that. They don't appreciate the value of what they did do and they also don't give their body, or appreciate the need to give their body time to integrate the changes that are already in flow and still ongoing in their body. Give the body time. Don't keep doing more and more and more and more. That more and more is because of a lack of appreciation of what the Healy is, and the beauty of the human body, and how the human body is always trying to get itself to the next level of health. It knows, it has its own wisdom. The Healy is just assisting it to remember and connect again with a template in the information field for perfect health. But allow the body time and give it what it needs. Give it plenty of water and minerals. Give it fresh air. Give it time and space and relaxation, especially in nature. Like today, for example, twice I went into the forest, and once I had only 5 minutes before a client, but it was worth it to drive there 5 minutes, sit for 5 minutes, and drive back 5 minutes. Absolutely worth it. So, what else about use of a Healy?
That was, by the way, that was a really lovely answer. Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
really just completely understand everything you're talking about. And I think because it's a piece of technology, people see technology as this technology that's just like anything else, like, you know, a remote control or something. They don't actually realize that inside it is this angel or this higher consciousness or whatever it is, you know, how you describe it. And I think if we can kind of, because I mean, I'm quite positive anyway. I see things always as very beautiful and as sacred, really. Everything is sacred that I do or that we can do. All of us can be sacred. And this is, and again, that is just, that's another really good reminder for everybody to really like take care of our Healys. Like it's a real person.
It's sensitive, and you are sensitive more than you realize. You're sensitive. So give yourself.
Abbey's necklace company is called Sacred, funnily enough. I just thought I'd get that in there. Bernie's got a hand up. Bernie's got a question. I think we've got an audience question. Should we pass it over to Bernie?
Sure. Bernie, would you like to say
something?
Is it okay to ask the question? I didn't know how to write it down. It was going to be too long. You know, at the beginning you said when you're using the Healy, you're really connected and you start to change, right? Is that just the person who owns the Healy, or is it the person that you're doing distant healing on?
That's really, really interesting question, Bernie. Okay, so when you're using the Healy to send healing to somebody else, there's always a triangle. So there's you, there's the other person, and there's the Healy. And so you create the intention, that it's the love in your heart and the intention in your mind that's a really important part, driving force. And it's your relationship with the person that you want to help. So incredible. Now, the Healy does its bit for you to help that person. The question is, what is the role of the person receiving? Do they have to be aware of it? Do they have to agree to it? I know you're not asking that question. I'm terrible for answering questions that weren't asked. But anyway, my view of it is that we ideally do need the agreement of the person to receive healing. We don't have a right to send healing to someone who may not agree to it. So it's more effective. I ask the higher self of the person, does the higher self agree? Because maybe the personality doesn't agree, but the higher self agrees because the higher self knows better. But if the higher self doesn't agree, then absolutely fine. No, if I tune in and get a no, then I won't do it. Bernie, if that didn't answer your question, would you ask it again, please? Or maybe you have a new question now.
No, I would do a consultation over the phone with the client, right?
Yes.
And I may use the Blue app and the 5 programs that resonates with that person.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe later on that day, I will run the top 3 of those programs or the top 4. Like I wouldn't go into the all Healy and select the 5 new ones. I would run with the previous ones. And then maybe the next day I would do a couple more on the existing programs that come up. But that person, on subsequent days, the person may not be aware. They know that I am going to send frequencies, but I could be doing it 9 o'clock at night, and
Absolutely.
they may not be aware that I'm sending at 9
That's
o'clock at night.
absolutely fine.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh yeah, I do. I do. They don't have to be aware of that. Okay. They don't have to be aware of when you're doing it.
Mhm.
No,
Like the beginning one, the first, it's all in consultation. Then after that, I'd say, now I will be running frequencies. Are you happy enough for that, or whatever?
Yeah.
So you have their permission, but
yes,
like
you do.
it could be 9, 10 o'clock at night, maybe before
Totally.
I get round to it. So
In fact, you know, the best time to send healing is at night,
mhm.
because as human activity decreases, the space is clearer. There's less interference. There's like a clear channel
Oh,
to
right.
send healing.
Mhm.
One of Marcus Maker's best, what would you call her, co-developers of TimeWaver Med databases, amazing genius of a woman in Germany. She works at night. When she works with TimeWaver in the information field, she works at night because she says it's totally quiet. Makes sense, huh? Not that we need to stay up all night working. It has to work for us too. So yeah, you have her agreement, and you then, Bernie, you can do according to your own intuition and according to your own schedule what works for you. Absolutely.
So when I'm using the Healy, I am being connected and I'm changing as a person. But the person who I am standing the healing to, are they also changing?
Yes, yes, yeah, they're the client then, and the healing is being sent to them.
Mhm.
That's if they weren't changing, if it wasn't having any effect, you wouldn't do it.
Mhm.
Yes. I heard a question in there though about you as the therapist. Do you get affected by the treatments that you do for people? And what if you do and you want to not be affected? I don't know if some people have that experience,
This is a
that
good
they
question.
themselves are exhausted by it, or they themselves even take on symptoms that they are working with clients. So it's useful to have a clear sense of your own energy and to regularly come into back to a sense of your own individual energy. And I even have like a sentence I say at the end of the day, and it is just that. I take a few breaths and I say, I come back 100% into my own energy. And then I feel it and I know it, and that's it. It's like that automatically puts a boundary around me. Boundaries are important, physically and energetically, so that we're not always giving, giving, giving.
Another thing that I always did as a therapist, as a masseuse and any hands-on therapist, is you wash your hands, but you don't just wash them. You imagine it's like you're washing off the other person's stuff.
Brilliant.
Or it doesn't matter what it is, I suppose. And a cloak
Oh.
is another one. People putting on an imaginary coloured cloak or a blue cloak or an egg or whatever it is that you feel is your.
But the ritual of it is you saying, this is me coming back into my own energy and leaving other people with their energy.
Yeah, I actually did. I had like quite a few treatments today, actually, doing with a Healy. It was one of those days where we have this amazing centre in Glastonbury, and we have it's called Magdalene Wellness, and I've been giving treatments there, and I had exactly those questions. I always feel absolutely exhausted after doing 3 scans in one day. I don't know how you do 4 scans every day. I mean, that's a lot. I find it very energy consuming, and that is one thing I was interested in, and how to protect our own energy from others, obviously, who are struggling in life. And I do try to use the protection programs. Is there anything else that you could
I find washing dishes helps. Doing housework. It does help to work from home, because and I will not get a dishwasher because those things ground me. I go in the garden and I sit. I think I've learned not to take on people's suffering. I've learned it doesn't help anybody. And to trust that what happened in the session was enough. And to let
Fantastic.
go. And to trust the client's journey. That they needed me for that time and they don't need me now.
Mm.
So trusting yourself and trusting the client. And valuing your space and knowing that for you, this, you don't need to hear this, for you to thrive and be able to do your work and carry out your mission, there are certain things you need. And that clear space around you, being in your own energy, is one of those things. So it serves not just you, but it serves the whole when you take that space.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yes, brilliant. Thank you so much for that. We've actually gone over an hour. Can we
We-
believe it?
I was thinking, oh, how are we going to fill an hour?
Oh my God, I
want to-
know. This is so interesting. It's such an interesting conversation. Honestly, we could continue for hours. So many more questions, you know. We did have one question just from, was it Dagmar? She's
Yes, I've
asking,
been
do you
watching
know-
Dagmar's beautiful face. I'm putting on my glasses just so I can see. Thank you for your expressions, my love.
Yeah, she said, she's asked a question.
Hi.
Do you know who created the aura analysis?
Enough. And I do, actually. And it helps to watch. I don't have time to watch webinars anymore. But the lovely Martin Whitman, sat down with his wife for Healy. Sat down with his wife. He said over a bank holiday weekend, they were not supposed to be working, and the two of them decided that they would create the databases for the aura, or they would at least completely rejig them, which is what they did, because your databases for your aura analysis are very different to what we have in TimeWaver Med. I shouldn't call it TimeWaver Med, it's TimeWaver Pro now. Anyway, so Martin and his beautiful wife, absolutely gorgeous. And what is her name? I have forgotten right now, but I've spent many beautiful hours with her in Cranslin, actually, where they live. So that's Martin. And Martin is, his title is Product Support Officer or the Product Development Officer. He's brilliant with technical questions.
Oh, wow. Great.
And he does sometimes appear on webinars.
Just a quick, just for everybody listening that doesn't know, the TimeWaver do regular seminars. They do regular webinars all the time. A lot of them are free. Some of them, they're very affordable. They're only like 20 euros. Some of the,
For free, yeah. Yeah,
but a lot of it, and if people want to know more, it's definitely worth jumping on their mailing list and seeing if any of their webinars appeal to you, because they're so fascinating and they're so detailed.
Yeah, many are on the website. Many previously recorded ones are there. Marcus Schmeke gave a webinar yesterday.
Did he?
Yes. For the solstice, he talked about individual information field, global information field, and many other things. It was recorded, and I will send it to you when I get it.
That will be amazing. I'm sure everyone on this video and this call is going to want it as well. So hopefully we'll be able to somehow share that. Possibly I could do it in the newsletter that I send out.
Yes. And if anybody is interested in buying TimeWaver, especially in Europe and the UK, there's a space on my website where you can have a free chat with me about it, and I will take you through the whole process.
We want one. We've looked at it. We want both of them. We've looked at it. We've spoken to Michael. We're like, oh, we can't get it just yet. It's like a million.
If you're meant to have it, you will have it. I thought there is no way I could find that money, and within 3 months, it was like it just landed. Really, most likely you worked with this technology before, and that's why you're so attracted to it. Yeah. Or can I just say my website is breegehanlon.com?
Yeah, I will put it into the chat.
I've mentioned it so many times, and it's very easy.
I'm going to put it into the chat, and I've also already put it onto the Facebook group post.
Yeah.
when this is finished, we're going to have a replay of this as well for everybody, so we can we will upload it to YouTube, and we'll put all your links and everything on there as well.
Good,
So,
fine. So I'm
yeah,
really happy to see all the faces I could see. I love connecting with people.
you are
And
very,
there are
very
lots,
good
lots,
at
lots of them.
connecting as well. You're very good at connecting with the person on Zoom. It's not that easy. I mean, I'm doing this all the time, and it's very difficult to feel an actual spiritual feeling from somebody, and you have got it down to a T, which is lovely to see.
Sure. For me, it's exactly the same as working in person. There's no difference.
Wow.
Has Dogma got something? You come on, say something. You.
Thank you so much. Abrit, this is actually really interesting. You were the very first video I watched about Healy, and you had mentioned you were talking about Palladians, you know, and that time.
Atlantis, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just me, but when I see certain people, I see them with the Healy, and I take it really personally if they don't. It's like they took a vow they're going to be reconnected with it, and then they're not, and I'm really frustrated. So I'm just wondering, how do I remind them of the contract?
Wow, that's an interesting question. You could ask that about Healy or about lots of things that you see that they don't see. Okay, so you're talking about feeling a little bit frustrated because you know what's in potential for them, but they are not yet awake to that. Okay.
Yeah, they actually very often would happen. I see them or I hear them and they show up and they would be like, I was praying for something, I was looking for something, this is exactly it. And I have this feeling, and I could be wrong, but I have this feeling that they had made a contract that they will get the Healy again. And I am here to show it to them. And when they don't, I feel like I failed or something, because I like they're not reconnecting with it because they had asked for it. So I understand they're different state of consciousness to be able to jump into that. So I'm just wondering.
Indeed. If you took yourself out of that equation completely, it would be very different, huh?
Yeah.
It's just something that is on their path. They've had, you know, and they will connect with it at some point, but not right now. You're only upset because you're there right now and you'd like it to be right now with you. But I don't want to be blunt, but it's got nothing to do with you, my dear. When they connect with Healy, it's their journey. Yes. So don't feel a failure because it didn't necessarily involve you at all.
I've got something to add about the Atlantis timeline, because I had a visibility course. It was a couple of months ago, and she was talking about this. She's noticed that a lot of healers and light workers are having these Atlantean contracts coming back up, where they were kind of part of the fall of Atlantis, and they made vows and contracts that they would never do it again. They wouldn't share their gift. They wouldn't speak out. They wouldn't share their knowledge. They would never train anybody. You could use stuff.
Never trust technology again, because it was overly trusted in Atlantis. Yes.
So she said that she's had a lot of vow cord cutting and vow breaking and having to reverse those vows. So it's interesting we touch on the Atlantis stuff because of this. We had a brilliant Healy hangout about the Aquarian energy, talking about this forward thinking and the air and the electricity and the healing in the air. And it makes sense that the Atlantis and our timeline are crossing now, because we've got so many similar things happening. And from a personal perspective, I believe that we've come back to do a mission, but we've also got all this baggage. We've got all the skills and the knowledge, and we recognize the soul family and we know what's going on, but also we brought baggage with us that we need to do the work on and we need to resolve on a personal level. So we had a conversation a long time ago about waking up, and we said we get frustrated because you want to wake people up. And my friend said, but the thing is, everybody wakes up. Some people wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to walk the dog. Some people wake up at 6 o'clock and do. Some people wake up at 10 o'clock. Some people don't wake up till 1:30, but everybody wakes up eventually because it's the nature of the process. So I think that you've just got to just
Good.
focus on you and trust that the right stuff will come.
Good. Yeah. And one last thing to say about Atlantis, not last thing, but for now, I do believe that what happened there was with the best of intentions, but with disastrous results. People put all of their faith in technology and didn't trust themselves. And we have an opportunity now to go 50-50 in partnership with technology. And that's, I want to repeat what I said earlier about Healy, is like, know that you are in an equal relationship with the device. Your what you bring to it, your awareness, your presence, working with it is really important. So don't see it as technology that is doing something to you, but no, it's technology that you, in your wisdom and your presence and awareness, moment to moment, are using. Okay, don't give up. Basically, don't give up your sovereignty to anything. Don't give up your power to anything. Okay, I'm going to end there.
I'm just like, I'm so grateful just to have you here, having this amazing conversation. I really felt like this was really needed in this moment, especially with everything that's been going on. And then you talks about, you know, all the technical stuff of Healy, and I'm happy you're actually talking a bit more about the spiritual side, which is something that is it's beautiful to do that and to remind us all what we actually have in our hands right now and what we've got within us and the tools that we have to aid us do what we need to do. So thank you so much for joining us in this amazing talk, and perhaps we could do another one in the future.
I bet we could. Just give it a few months maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how long, but there'll be more things we want to talk about.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
So
Great.
I'm frustrated because I want to run and turn the light on because it's really dark in here now. But I won't. I really feel grateful for all of you that I can see. Really grateful for you to come and connect. It's I don't know what else to say. I'm happy. It just makes me really, really, really happy to connect with people and to know that in our hearts we're all so similar. What's important to us is so similar. So yes, it's great not to talk about subscriptions and you know, money and stuff like that, but just what we really all what means a lot to us is healing and helping each other and yeah, moving forward, constantly moving forward. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks everyone for joining us here, and thank you for everyone who joined live and everyone who joins the replay. We will be sending this out via newsletter, and yeah, anything else, any other questions that we didn't answer today, I'm very sorry, but we just went with the flow, and that's just the best way to do an interview anyway. So I'm happy. If you've got other questions, feel free to message me and we'll try and get them answered. So yeah, thank you for joining us, and have a lovely evening or a day wherever you are in the world.
Thanks, guys.